Wow. Absence makes the heart grow fonder tonight.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
All right, I'm motivated for a couple different reasons to have this program this evening. One, I just felt like taking the night off. Because with this guest, I just have to ask a question or two and then just sit back and, do some homework or something. Because he's on fire and all excited. Secondly, I'm a sports nut. Thirdly, I love this guy, and I'm really excited that he's back in the region, and that I got to see his ugly puss just about every night, because he'll be following my radio program weeknights 6 to 9 on WPRO. Good Friday to you. You might see this show a couple of times. Who knows? Depends on how good he is this evening. But just note on this Good Friday, if you're seeing this originally, I wish you the happiest of Easters. On Friday nights we don't do the rundown because we tape our show on Fridays on Thursday afternoon. So if all heck breaks loose on a Friday, we'll catch up to it on Monday. Remember, there is no Easter without Good Friday. And there is no sports talk quite like this.
Gresh, host of the Gresh Show on WPRO, and I'm back 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. I want it to be different. This is Providence's show. That's what I want people to know.
A lot of hype for this.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm lovely. Are you kidding me? This is fantastic. Everything is now close to home for me. I get to hang out with people like you.
Right.
I mean, good grief. Who doesn't win there? Well, I mean, again, you're going to see my ugly mug all the time.
Yes.
5 minutes to 6, I'm going to be the lightning bolt to your rear end as you're walking out the door.
I've been in therapy for a month to get ready for it.
Hey, listen, I almost look. I put on a jacket to come to this.
Slide
you know
down
what I mean?
so the camera gets you better, so it's not half your big car. There you go. I want people to be able to see you better.
Well, here's the thing, okay? When you put stuff like this together,
not that I want to get close to you.
No, but what you need to do is, and I've told people this here at Channel 12, I've had a relationship here for a while. Can we get to the point to where you bring in the biggest human you can find when you're coming up with the spots, so that way when you have normal sized people in here, then they can sit and be comfortable and all that, and then that way when a fatty comes like me, it still works. Instead, we're going to move stuff around, and it feels like we're moving deck chairs on the Queen Mary just to get some fat guy in here so we can talk about how Jimmy Garoppolo should be traded to Cleveland, or the Paw Sox Stadium, or whatever road you're going to go down.
So I was in the locker room at the golf club the other morning, and 4 guys say to me, as I'm trying to get to the shower,
There's a visual.
Hey, Dan, what is going on with it? Andy Gresh is coming back with Sports Talk? And I'm waiting. I'm going, rather than saying that, yeah, isn't that great? I waited for he sure is. And I was about to say, isn't that great? And all 4 of them were like, that's great.
That's awesome.
And they were telling me why. They love your take. I think one of the guys didn't much, and that's kind of the way it goes. 3 out of 4 is. I mean, that's not a bad ratio for any of us. But all 4 conceded that it has been a long time coming. In that the old score, which brings back a lot of fine memories for me in the early decade, the first decade of my career here, where I could walk down the hallway and see Andy and the whole crowd. Scott, the whole bit. I mean,
Scott Zolak still thinks your name is Dave York.
And he used to come in the studio. Hello, Dave.
It was a little.
There was a lot
like
more.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? What's up, man?
Yeah,
Dave.
exactly.
Love Dave.
Yeah, there was the day that he put I think it was his bare buttocks on my studio window too. That I still.
He also had a flip book with donkeys, but we'll leave that out.
Yeah, I mean, it was nonstop. But it was a great time in my space at the Salty Brine Broadcast Center when we had the sports guys there and friendly competition for your attention on the radio. And when it went away, I think a lot of people went, oh. But the economy of the business, the way it was going, the emphasis of sports talk in Boston, you guys migrated up 95. Now there are 2 major flame-throwing signals that do sports talk in Boston, and there hasn't been anything here. Not that people here can't call the shows in Boston, and not that we're kind of a suburb of Boston But if you want to talk about, Hurley and whether you're sticking around
Right.
and, what Eddie has done over at the Friars and should we move McCoy over and blah, 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 there hasn't been a lot, at least from a sports context. It's gone and now it's coming back.
I think the word you're getting to is ownership. And I think for a lot of people, Dan, it's having a show that they can take ownership of. They know that if it gets a little hairy, look, Danny Hurley's going to leave eventually, like at some point somebody is going to give him a big time offer with money that and resources that he can't refuse. You're not going to be able to call Boston on anything like that. There isn't going to be an appreciation for the Friars. And look, when the other flamethrowers, so to speak, sports station came into this town on the 103.7 frequency, there was a lot of rhetoric of, well, we'll do Providence stuff. We'll do Providence. No, the only thing they did out of Providence was take the money. That was it. There was no programming that was really geared towards people around here. And look, there are Patriot fans everywhere. The 10 years I spent on the Patriots Radio Network showed me the reach of that football team. From Maine, there was an affiliate, Dan, in Hawaii. Really, like a Hawaiian radio station called and said, we'd like to carry the New England Patriots. You're thinking, what? Are you kidding me? But there's a lot of people. There's a big military presence there. People wanted to hear the game. So I think it comes down to ownership and that, I don't want to say for better or worse, but I'm your guy. I'm the guy that you're going to be able to take ownership in, and we're going to be able to have fun every night talking about what's going on, even more than just teams that are in the playoffs. This McCoy thing is going to turn into, I think, I know it's a big story now. I just sense that it's going to get worse.
What do you mean?
Well, because anytime you get into public and private funding, you get into looking at a stadium and saying, come on, is McCoy Stadium that dilapidated? Can't you play in it? Can't you make it work? It's just not reflective of the way things are going right now in the world of sports. And look, I've spent 2 years in Hartford, and if you look at what they did with Dunkin' Donuts Park and the AA Stadium, it turned into $71 million of straight public funding. And they had to pull the contractor off the job. Now the feds are looking into whether that guy was embezzling. It was an utter mess. These things can get very dirty and messy, but if it's done right and the secrecy leaves, if the secrecy's gone, if the governor decides to be transparent, if the Paw Sox ownership decides to be transparent, and people know what's going on there, I think everybody can come to a happy medium and figure it out. But, this is probably more down your road. People want to not be transparent. They want to keep the conversations behind closed doors. And everybody wants to win the deal. That's the big thing. Let's win the deal. How about we make a deal that maybe works for everybody? Like, why is that so ridiculous for me to even mention?
Well, it's going to, it's going to be fascinating. We talk about this on a chronic basis. I played audio for you yesterday with the governor and I speaking about this. I think this notion that the state participation in this is going to have to be revenue neutral, meaning it will fund itself, it's speculative only based on what the Paw Sox will actually put into this deal. And the Paw Sox, unfortunately, are going down a second road of mistake by letting the till or the ground be fertily tilled with discontent over a public expenditure from McCoy Stadium, rather than saying, hey, by the way, we're going to throw you some more drawings and a site on a plan, and don't worry, we're going to put a big chunk of change into this and calm everybody down. Instead, they've been playing rope-a-dope with it. Now, eventually, they're going to have to be more than just rent payers in order to make this whole thing work. And if they don't understand that, well, then Larry Lucchino is not the brain that I thought he was. But they have played it poorly. I told Charles Steinberg, the president of the Paw Sox, that on the radio last week. Weeks gone by, they've said nothing about what their proportional investment's going to be. And if they don't, the 38 Studios hangover is going to kill this deal.
Well, and that's the other thing that I'm sensing as well, is that at some point, we've got to move on from 38 Studios.
Well, it's a government responsibility to clear that. You can't will it. You can't will it.
But someone has to grab the bull by the horns to start to make it happen.
It's called an investigation.
Well,
it's an investigation that completes itself, and where a script is written, and you know who all the good guys and bad guys are.
Well, and that's where the governor blew it, in my opinion. You walked in, you had a clean slate. You could have done it, and look, I know it's the whole, hey, it's Rhode Island. You throw me under the bus, I'm not going to play with you, and all that. It's a matter of public trust at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, if you know that the Paw Sox put in a big chunk of money, and you know that there are going to be a certain amount of tax revenues that are going to go in, look, there's a whole sense of, everyone says, well, we shouldn't play ball, period, because of 38 studios. All right, well, someone else is. And the problem is that we're looking at it and saying, this state can't do this for this reason. Other states don't play that way. And the real threat is not the Paw Sox necessarily leaving, it's the other states that are going to be willing to do things that might bring them or any day business there. You know, I mean, again, I've worked in Hartford the last 2 years. That state has gone so far backwards in 20 years in terms of money. It's because of mismanagement, and it's because of, if there's a little bit of bend, you might be able to keep some of the people that are in the state that are there, and then economically everybody can win. But, you know, it's almost like it's now, well, 38 Studios was a mess, so we can never do anything ever again. Well, that's great. And you know what? We'll all be living in a different state in 10 years. It can't just shut down.
Well, it's a good speech. I believe it. But leadership's going to have to do something, because guess what? You know, slapping people around saying that same old thing doesn't seem to have worked. I've tried it. When we come back, Hartford, Boston, how did he end up back home? Monday night, the show starts. We'll be right back. Andy Gresh, back in the house, back in the Providence area for a nightly radio show on WPRO. We have where's the little full screen from the website there? Jess, you could throw up there. There you go.
That's a great freeze. Look at that.
That's really a
Look
good
like
freeze.
I'm looking to Jesus up in the sky.
Well, that's
saying,
appropriate.
what am I doing?
It's an appropriate day. It's Good Friday.
Of course, yeah, that's right.
Where you been, man?
Everywhere and anywhere. Okay, so my sordid tale, let's go from when the Score died, which was March 10th, 2008. The Score, the old 790 and 99.7 The Score, really should have died the Friday before that, but we had some basketball games that were paid to be on the air, so they waited until Monday to let us go. And I had a friend at a certain four-letter network who said, don't screw up today. I said, why? He goes, just don't. And I'm like, I know what's coming. So when Zolak and I did our last show in Providence, we were choir boys. It was the most boring radio we've ever done, because we knew that if we proverbially peed on the rug, then it'd be like, oh, you're not getting your money. So we knew what we were doing. We had it all worked out, and we each had a plan. And this is the craziest thing ever. So the Score goes under. I go to ESPN that night, ESPN Radio up in Bristol. They had a 150-day contract waiting for me and said, you're going to work for us the rest of the year. And then in 2009, I went to Sirius Satellite Radio. Now, in that period of time, I also got divorced. So I'm a single dude in New York City making money and on TV. Somehow, some way, someone in New York City decided that my big butt should be on TV 5 days a week, and I was on SNY. It was the greatest thing in the bars. Put it on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, wow, look at that guy's on TV. Fish in a barrel. Anyway, I digress. Then, so after a year at Satellite...
How many fish?
Well, those documents are sealed.
How big was the barrel?
It was a big barrel. I mean, look at me for crying out loud. No, and then towards the end of that run, I met my wife, and the Boston opportunity came open, and they were like, listen, we're probably going to put you back with Zoe. I'm like, what, are you kidding me? It's easy. So I go to Boston, we have great success, and then the most unprofessional thing that ever happened to me in my career happened. And sadly, there's a piece of paper that keeps me from being able to really elaborate, but basically, we're in a communications business, and you and I have joked many times about communications our business, not our policy. Well, someone thought a little differently of me than other people did in the building. They had the booking, so to speak, and they were taking the eraser and getting rid of my name. The problem was when they told me, and it was pretty bad, and I stayed within CBS and had a chance to go national. It was either go national or come here, CBS Radio.
CBS owned the station.
Right. So I went from
the sports hub.
Satellite radio to CBS in Boston to CBS in Hartford. Dabbled in some New York City stuff, which is still a ton of fun. I love going down and doing stuff on the Fan because it energizes you a little bit. And I have my national show on CBS Sports Radio, called the Gresh Show. I'm really wearing this one out. So whether it's on PRO or CBS Sports Radio, it's the same. And I had a chance to either go national or come here. And it worked out better for me to be here. And I couldn't be more excited, more happy about it because I'm around good people, number one. and going back in that building and seeing some of the people I haven't seen for, like, I knew what the reaction was going to be from people like you, because we do talk from time to time, and, you know, we've had a relationship that goes beyond just working together. But I was a little worried walking back in the building and thinking, like, oh boy, who have I ticked off? You know, who's going to have their nose? Whose feathers am I going to ruffle? And it's been fantastic. It's been open arms, welcome back. Oh my God. People have been picking my brain already, so they think I've learned something in 20 years, which maybe I have, maybe I haven't, I don't know. We'll see how long this one lasts. But basically, yeah, that's sort of the sordid tale. And a lot of TV along the way, college football games, all that kind of stuff. Basically, if there's a job, I'll probably do it.
What's the current temperature of sports talk radio in America? It seems like in the world of talk radio, it might be the only growth segment right now. I mean, my stuff is flattish. I mean, there's an audience out there for what we do. You're always trying to add to the audience. I'm not saying we sit on our laurels and just mail it in, but the point is that politics has its ebb and flow. Mm-hmm. You know, there's burnout factor, there's election factor, there's crisis factor, and it's all that kind of stuff. So there's big weather, there's tragedy factor, unfortunately, spikes this way. But you know, it's still one of the top performing formats in all of radio. But sports talk has become this incredibly profitable business, and it's like everybody wants a piece of it. It made perfect business sense for us to get back into it at WPRO. Decisions made way above my organizational scale, but it's a hell of a business right now.
There's over 700 sports stations in this country. Now, a lot of them are just airing national network programming. I'm a part of that in a way as well. But I think what you have is it's passion. Not everyone is passionate for Trump or Hillary or politics or sports blending with politics. People go in and out. It depends on your level of engagement. I think your age is a part of it too. Look, I'm now 42. I'm much more aware of things going on in the world than when I was 32 or 22 years old. When you're just thinking, I got to get to where I want to go, and I want to get there as fast as I can. That was my mindset. I also think there's the live programming element of sports that you don't get with politics. You don't get Trump speaking every day. You will get a playoff game every couple of days here coming up with the Celtics and the Bruins, and that constantly refreshes the level of engagement. There will be some people who may feel passionately about a topic politically, but are they going to stick with it through the long run? Because you start to get into Congress, you start to get into bills that are introduced, and after a while, people just kind of move on. I don't envy what you and Maddie and Tara and people have to do, because there are times where I'm sure you look at it and go, you know, what am I going to bring up the same thing again? You know, so after a while, I think it kind of burns out, where if sports is constantly refreshing itself, and again, that live programming, I can tweet during a game and get so much interaction on Twitter from people about a call or a play or something like that, that you just don't get if Trump is giving a State of the State address. You have to actually listen to the content of what he's saying.
It's so funny. It depends on your perspective, and I'm a big sports talk fan, so I listen to it a lot. There is a redundancy, though. There's a redundancy of conversation in the sports talk world that you don't find in my world.
How do you mean? Like, how many times are you going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo maybe getting traded to Cleveland?
You know, yeah.
I think, and here's what it is.
Because everyone thinks they're the smartest guy in the world. Everyone thinks they're Belichick, right? So I'm a huge fan of it, but there's a redundancy factor to it.
I think I go back to passion. I think the universal trait of sports fans is passion. Is the universal trait of politicos passion? It depends.
Seasonal.
Right, and so I think that's where a lot of the why does sports talk work, and plus you can really show different layers of yourself, because the format is much more open towards talking about different kinds of issues in this country if we wanted to go down there, whether it's the way women are treated in sports. I mean, that's a 30,000-foot sports view conversation, because there are a lot of the, you know, like I've met Erin Andrews before. When you see her, you're like, oh my God. You know, like you're just stunned whenever you see her physically. And then it's, what is she on the air? I'm not saying that to be sexist or anything, but you look at where sideline reporters have gone. You look at Tracy Wolfson on CBS. There may be no one better, but no one oogles over her the way they do an Erin Andrews or someone like that. But that's speaking from a sports fan's perspective. And that's the difference in the conversation. It'll go places that others can't.
Not just X's and O's. When we come back, his biggest strength and maybe liabilities.
Making you uncomfortable?
Stay with us. Andy Gresh's brand new program, The Gresh Show, begins Monday night on WPRO, weeknights 6 to 9, following the Dan York Show, 3 to 6. I don't think I know anybody who's got a better football analytical brain than you.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you.
You know
I've got you fooled.
Yeah, but
It's fraud.
if there's any rap out there on you from the sports nuts out there, it's that, all he knows is football.
But,
And he's from Pittsburgh.
yeah, people have forgotten about that. Luckily, that's for 10 years on the
My neighbor
Patriots
hasn't
radio
forgot
network.
about that. When he told you, say, you know what? You know, why doesn't he just admit he's a Steeler fan and everything would be a lot better? I'm like, oh my God.
You know, after a while, and I don't know if you get this with politics. Because
You and the
there's
Bishop, by the way,
difference-
both Steeler fans.
Well,
That's good company.
Yeah, that is good. You know, when you have different sides of the aisle, okay? So Republicans and Democrats are always going to fight against each other. It's amazing that I spent 10 years on that network calling it the way it is. That's the one thing that Robert and John the Crab both said to me. They're like, look, you be you. Break down football. To me, it doesn't matter. My fandom doesn't come into it. If the right guard misses a blitzing linebacker and the quarterback gets killed, it doesn't matter whether I supposedly have a rooting interest or not. It's tell me what happened on the play.
Do you have to be as good in everything else as you are in football?
You try to be. Yeah, because I think it's just all about overall credibility. I mean, look, if you're going to call my show and you're going to, come in with the, well, the second baseman of the Milwaukee Brewers should be someone that we should get to because his BABIP matches his VORP, and you're getting into all that stuff, I'm not going to go there.
What's a VORP?
VORP is value over replacement player. It's, again, all the there are sabermetricians who look at it, and it's numbers on a piece of paper, and then there's the feel and the emotion of sports. And look, if you don't think I know something, I'll take the Pepsi Challenge with anybody. All they got to do is call the show.
I hope to learn something new every single day. And get off that photo, will you? It scares me. But now I know what VORP is.
Exactly, right?
See? It made my weekend.
There are people who really want to dig into it.
We got to go.
Look, I know what I'm doing, so
gotta
that's
go.
all people have to worry
We got to go. To be continued.
Can I give you a hug?
No, please don't. Monday at 6 and forevermore, the Gresh Show returns to Providence Radio. Make a note of it. Thanks, brother.
You're the best.
Do not hug me. We'll be right back. The devastation of chemical weapon attacks, and what it all does. I know none of us want to look at it, but Monday we've got an expert to tell you about what it's really all about. Pray for those people in the Middle East right now because it's not a fun place. Happy Easter to all of you. Jesus is risen and Sports Talk is back on Monday. See ya.